Hello, I'm Teresa Pavon, the President and Chief Executive Officer for Livingston Memorial Visiting Nurse Association and Hospice. This year, we had the joy of coming together in person to celebrate our 37th annual Light Up a Life event in Constitution Park in Camarillo. The evening was so beautiful, a chance for our community to come together and honor the lives of the loved ones we've lost. We've put together a video of some of the highlights from that special night. I hope you enjoy it. And if you get a chance, go visit our beautiful Light Up a Life tree at Constitution Park. It'll be up through December. Thank you.
My name is Laura McAvoy, and I'm the chairman of the board of Livingston Memorial Visiting Nurse Association and Hospice. And it's my honor to welcome you this evening to our in-person 2021 Light Up ceremony. It is good to be together again. Whether we're here at Constitution Park or virtually as people view the recording tonight, but there has been such a need that we felt so strongly to be together, to give and to receive the support that we all need as we deal with the many challenges of life. We particularly gather this evening to remember those who were so special to us and remain so special to us. And it is a special part of Livingston's mission to facilitate that sense of community, that sense of ongoing love, that sense of caring, both medically, emotionally, physically, and in every way that we can. There are so many very special people here this evening. I do want to particularly recognize the Camarillo Vice Mayor, Susan Santangelo. Thank you, Susan, for being here. Livingston has a special connection to Camarillo, and we're so grateful to all of our volunteers who were able to keep the Camarillo Farmers Market open throughout the pandemic. Major, major undertaking. We have a very, very special board of directors. Many of them were able to be here this evening. I would like to introduce to you Dr. Al Reeves, Rick Ruffinelli, this lovely wife Penny, Dr. Rob Streeter, Jane Donlin Waters, thank you, sorry Jane, and one of our community members, Jerry Olson, who serves on our development committee. Mr. Camarillo does everything in Camarillo. Thank you, Jerry. I do have the very special privilege this evening of introducing to you Teresa Pavon, better known as Tree, who is our President and Chief Executive Officer. Tree stepped into a new role at Livingston this year in the middle of all of the challenges of keeping organizations going in 2021. She is homegrown, having come up through the ranks in Livingston, having had many leadership positions, and we are so blessed that she's here tonight in her new role as president to lead us in this remembrance. Thank you, Tree.
Good evening. I'm homegrown. I never thought of myself that way before. I feel like I want to write a song about that. I'm also a Camarillo resident, so I'm truly, truly homegrown here, so it's nice to be here tonight. On behalf of Livingston Visiting Nurse Association, I am pleased to welcome all of you here to tonight's 37th annual Light Up a Life celebration. Just a couple of housekeeping things really quick before we get too far into this. Even though we're outside, because there's so many of us, I would like to invite you to wear a mask If you have that, we have some available if you would like that over at our table. Also, as is our tradition, part of our program tonight will be passing a microphone through the audience, so anybody who wishes to share the name of their loved one will be able to speak into the microphone. If you choose to do that tonight, we would ask that you have your mask on. So again, it is nice to see everybody. Thank you everyone who participated last year for our virtual event. That was beautiful and exciting, but this is so much better. This is so much better seeing you all. Before I move forward, I do see some people I would like to recognize in the audience. I would like all of the Livingston Hospice, Grief and Bereavement and Livingston Hospice staff, past and present, to please stand up. Let's recognize them and thank them. Some standing in the side. The reason I wanted you all to stand is to say thank you, because you really are heroes. Thank you for your tremendous work during the pandemic. I feel like we have to talk about that pandemic. It's been 2 years, but we're still here. These caring professionals showed up day after day to provide care and support to the sick and dying, to their families, and to those individuals who are struggling with their grief. Despite the threat of COVID, this group, the group that was just standing, showed up every day and put the needs of others before their own. So we are truly thankful to all of you. So again, a little clap there. I feel like I'm good, right? You can all hear me okay. It's been a difficult 2 years facing COVID and all that has come with it, including the stay-at-home orders and restrictions. Those have led to loneliness and isolation, and the COVID infection itself caused some of our loved ones to get very sick and in some cases pass away. Those losses and other losses that we've all experienced each into a place of grief. Grief doesn't look the same for everyone. It comes in different ways, at different times, in different strength, but it's there. I once heard someone describe grief as love that we have inside of us for someone, love that didn't have a chance to get out before our person died. When we grieve, we're letting that love shine. We're letting that love out. But sometimes we need help to process our grief. It can be difficult. It can be a hard road to navigate alone. That's why celebrations like tonight's Light Up a Life are so important. They give us a place where we can all come together as a community to share with each other our experiences and to support and love one another. Another important way Livingston is able to support those who are on their grief journey is through the amazing programs at our Livingston Camarillo Grief and Bereavement Center. Individual and group support is facilitated by our trained professional staff and is available for anyone who has experienced a loss and needs help. This support is free of charge. We're able to offer these free thanks to people like all of you who donate and support our important mission of service, care, and healing. So truly from the bottom of my heart, thank you so very much. Now, please help me welcome the director of our Grief and Bereavement Center. This person is the one who makes all of our grief support programs possible, a person with a beautiful soul whose primary selfless purpose is to serve others. Stacia Sickle.
Okay. So I think there's going to be a similar theme as we come up today. Good evening, and thank you for being here with us tonight. Thank you. Whether you are honoring a loved one who died several years ago, or more recent, tonight we have the opportunity to honor, remember, and gather as a community. How we have longed to gather as a community, to be in the company of others, to have natural conversations rather than the official feeling and lag time of technology, to use all of our senses, to be seen and to witness. In a little bit, you will have the opportunity to honor your special person by speaking their name when we pass the microphone. I hope many of you will do so. There is healing in saying their name in the company of others who bear witness that they are not forgotten. The pandemic challenged all of us, especially those who experienced a loss during this time. Many of us struggled with this unwanted reality of a pandemic, like death. We felt shock, denial, disbelief. The lockdowns, working from home, social isolation, and the uncertainty created feelings of depression, anger, anxiety, loneliness, and exhaustion. We longed for our life before the pandemic and may feel uncertain as to what the future will look like. This unwelcome change to our lives resembled the unwelcome change that a death of someone we love brings. Grief is universal, an expected response to an unwelcome change. For those of you grieving during this time, your grief may have felt unbearable. The pandemic prevented you from accessing important resources such as family, friends, activities, or other means of escape. It's been a long 2 years. During this time, I became aware of what really matters to me, and the months of isolation emphasized how vital human connection is to our mental health and our quality of life. So tonight, I ask you to think about your close friends. Good friends are like mirrors in our life, helping define who we are. As children and teens, our friends are vital, but somewhere in adulthood, we can become busy with family obligations, work, or life in general, and we neglect our friendships. We stop investing the time and effort required to maintain the bonds of strong relationships. It is said that we often do not understand the true value of something until it is gone. I'm not sure why that is, but if anything, the pandemic has shined a light on some of the things taken for granted in the past. This in itself can be a gift and help us to make the necessary changes to focus on what really matters. If you will, I would like you to reflect on someone you would consider a good friend. Think about the characteristics that make that person special to you. Perhaps they are a good listener, compassionate, generous, kind, funny, adventurous, solid. There is someone with whom you trust and enjoy spending time with. They show up when you need them. They may be someone you share a history with, or someone with whom you are building new memories with. I want to recognize that someone here tonight may have lost their best friend, and the thought of building new relationships is daunting. If that is you, I encourage you to join one of our grief support groups. Being in the company of others who understand, who really get it, can help you find your way to rebuilding existing or new relationships. There is no doubt that later on down the road, we will need our friends to support us through the transitions of life, just as many of you have needed friends to see you through the pain of loss. So this holiday season, how about honoring the gift of friendship, reaching out to those special people in your life? We humans need companionship, whether that is one good friend or 100. We are not designed to grieve alone, nor are we built to live in isolation. The pandemic has revealed the value of human connection, community. I encourage you to make significant space in your life and in your heart for a friend. I cannot think of a better gift to give this season or receive. Thank you.
Wow. That's our assignment. It's a good assignment to have. Thank you, Stacia. Although each of our stories is unique, we all have a story. It's our experience with loss that connects us all together. And tonight I'm honored to introduce Sue Mooney and her daughters Barbara O'Donnell and Patty Stetson to share their story with us.
Good evening. This is harder than I thought it would be. Okay. My dad, John Mooney, was an upbeat and friendly guy. He loved to be around people. He loved interacting with them. He loved shaking hands and sharing a laugh. It was sad to watch as his illness slowly took these pleasures away from him. In the last stages of his life, his dementia was almost always at the forefront as we had to focus on his day-to-day comfort and safety. Although he would sneak back from time to time, the dementia took his jovial nature away from us too. And now that he's gone, well, I miss being with him, taking him over to the coffee bean, bringing him goodies, watching Blue Bloods reruns and game shows. I have an opportunity to think more about who he was before he got sick. An independent, driven, funny, and strong man. There are lots of emotions mixed together with my memories of him. Some are happy and some are sad. And this was mentioned earlier, but I did recently hear a description of grief as your unexpressed love. Love that you still have to give to the person that you lost. That has helped me understand that my grief is not something to push aside, but something to savor. That helps me with the sadness, and it reminds me to keep saying, Dad, I love you.
We had a long time to prepare for Dad passing, but I think that no matter how much time you have or whether it's sudden, losing someone, it does not prepare you fully for the pain that you feel afterwards. And I remember the night that Dad passed away and feeling that emptiness, just a hole where he used to be. So I would like to reiterate what Barbara said, that Dad did like to have fun. And we have lots of fun memories and we have lots of difficult memories. But I would choose to remember sitting in his lap after he'd gotten home from work and reading even though I couldn't read, or watching him at Little League games with our brother, or watching him walk his 3 daughters down the aisle when they got married. These are the things that make up my memories of Dad. So I would also encourage you, as you remember your loved one in this time of joy and hope and love, that you would be able to experience that in the memories of your loved one, no matter what your faith experience is, that it would be something that is comforting to you when you think about your loved one. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. This is a special opportunity to be together with all of you. as we light the tree and remember people that we have loved. Barbara and Patty have shared some thoughts and memories and appreciation of their dad. And I'd like to add one more word that describes an important part of his character. That word is resilience. As a child, he struggled with asthma from at a very young age, but never let it hold him back. He was determined to go ahead and do things that most people who have asthma couldn't possibly do. He wanted to play basketball, and his explanation was, "I just fight my way through it." I don't know how he did it, but he played basketball well into his adult life. About 10 years ago, he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, and he had a new, extensive surgical procedure and spent several months recovering. He remained optimistic through whatever challenges came along. The words, "I can't," were not in his vocabulary. And he encouraged others, including me, to face challenges with confidence and optimism. So I'm grateful to be here tonight and to be part of lighting the tree that will remind all of us of someone that we have loved who is no longer physically with us. I'd like to share part of a writing from a book called Bread for the Journey by Henri Nouwen. And he says, "There comes a time in our lives when we must prepare for death." And I would add that not only our own death, but the death of those we love. Most people presume that our only desire is to live longer on this earth. Still, dying, like giving birth, is a way to new life. And as Ecclesiastes says, there is a season for everything, a time for giving birth and a time for dying. And as we've already talked about tonight, there's the time of grieving. There's a time when we need to adapt to a major change, a new reality. A time when we need love and support. A time when we can share our journey with others. Most of us have had frustrations with travel limitations and things that have prevented us to be with some of our loved ones, our families, dear friends. And so we as a family are looking forward to a time sometime this year when our family and dear friends can gather from basically all around the world. And we can hug each other and talk together and share together. I am grateful for technology that has allowed us to have Zoom calls where at least we could sit together and see each other as we talked about our memories and our thoughts, and had some times of laughter and times of tears together, even on Zoom. So thank you all for this opportunity here together and to share these thoughts with you.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Patty. That was really beautiful. Very touched. My name is Amanda McQuaid Crawford, and I've been in the Livingston pool of genius for at least 8 years, and I'm surrounded by people who are so kind and so giving that I am constantly inspired to try and be better, which is one of the lines of the poem that I've been given to read tonight. When Great Trees Fall by Maya Angelou. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder. Lions hunker down in tall grasses. And even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses loaded beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory, suddenly sharpened, examines, gnaws on kind words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent upon their nurture, now shrink, wizened, our minds formed and informed by their radiance fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing, electric vibration. Our senses, restored, never to be the same, whisper to us. They existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed. Thank you.
Wow, so beautiful. Maya Angelou. She seems like a talented writer. I feel like that's what I feel in my heart, and how beautiful, what a beautiful poem that you chose. Thank you. Speaking the words, speaking it out loud, saying the things, whether it's a poem, how you feel, and right now, your loved one's name can be so powerful and healing. Stacia talked a little bit about that tonight. So this part of the evening, we have volunteers who are going to go through the rows and give each one of you a chance to say out loud your loved one's name, someone that we're tonight. I would say this is not a requirement. Participation is not mandatory. It is just if you choose to.
John Mooney.
John Mooney.
David.
I'd like to recognize a dear family friend of ours who lost their son 6 weeks ago, 49-year-old Tommy Morostica.
Mark Root, Ed.
In the past year, I've come to the age where I'm now realizing that peers and buddies are beginning to pass on. So I'd like to remember Dr. Tim Keenel, one of my ex-partners in practice, Dr. Henry Sasaki, and my cousin Karen Lafferty.
My dear brother-in-law, Bruce Crumpets, who passed away this week.
Loving husband and father, Carlos Cabral.
My beautiful mom and dad, Janet and Leo Doris, and my brother-in-law, Douglas Warren.
Douglas Warren, Leo Doris, and Janet Doris, we miss you.
My husband, Douglas Warren, my mom, Jan Doris, and my father, Leo Doris.
Our mother and grandmother, Esperanza Hope Montanez.
My grandmother, Annette Resnick Bulan, and my father, Stephen Resnick.
My husband, Sal, who is with me every single day, and we enjoy each other every single day. And my parents, John and Dorothy Matthews. Thank
you. My lovely wife, Linda Hornbuckle, who always made sure that our family was the first on and the last off the battlefield of life.
My brother, Mark Ransom.
My brother, Bradford Wickham, killed in World War II, and grandson, Paul Wickham, killed by a hit-and-run driver when he was in the middle of medical school, and our recent death of our daughter, Kim Wickham Peterson.
Our grandson, Paul Wickham, and our lovely daughter, Kim Peterson.
My partner, Richard Schauberg, his mother, Eleanor Schauberg, and my mom, Mimi Sachs.
It's my beloved wife, Michael Ann Rockenstein, who was, as she told me on our third week of marriage, she was a proud Trojan. I went to the other place. 52 years of having a wonderful person to help guide you in how to live and how to have a family, and just a wonderful person.
Lou Visser, Jean Visser, Cecil Visser, Peggy Visser, Bill Visser, and Fred Muhlenhort.
My husband, Andres Bomers, and a dear friend, Isabel Young.
My mom, Shirley Randall.
My mom, Michael Ann Rockenstein. My grandparents, Bernadette and Ralph Rockenstein, and Violet and Michael Clarity.
My father, Richard Carlson, and my stepmother, Elaine Carlson.
My husband, Dave Ely, who passed away a year ago next week. My parents, Bill and Dorothy McFadden.
My parents, Robert and Bertha Turner. My 4 older sisters, Wilma Jean, Ramona Irene, Donna Lee, and Marlene Elaine.
Our daughter, Carol Olson Bryan, and my parents, Nick and Sarah Olson.
A dear family friend of mine who was like a second father, Dr. Ed Elson. My grandparents, Carl and Connie Santangelo, and my grandparents, Ann and Charles Blanty.
My husband, Carl Lauk, and my parents, Don and Anna Celeste Glancy.
My wife, Marlene Becker.
Our son, Jake Allen Vernon.
Jake Vernon.
My mother, Michael Ann Clarity, and my aunts, Patricia Clarity and Margaret Nolan.
Peggy and Harvey, and Margaret and Charles Rhodes, my grandparents. Peggy and Harvey are Patty and Hallie's parents. And anybody else? My grandparents on my father's side, Zoe McLaughlin and Truman McLaughlin and Harley Klein.
Excuse me, sorry. My husband, Reed Johnson.
My wonderful wife, Patricia Ann Improta, who helped me in other countries to help people who needed medical care through international relief teams, including the war in Kosovo, and she was a phenomenal person. I'm so grateful.
My husband, Douglas Mullins, and he was a good dad, too.
My husband, Fred Mastery, who was also a hospice volunteer for Livingston, and my dad, Mac McBratney from Ojai.
Marilyn Rankin and Hetty Ellswick.
My father, Rick Oshner, and my grandfather, Gerald Stengel.
My father, Rick Oshner.
My husband, Rick Oshner.
My mother and my wife, who both passed away within 5 months of each other, and my son.
Hi, my sister Jan Camacho and my husband Bill Lackey.
My husband of 60 years, Richard Lee, and our youngest son, Chris Lee.
Our daughter, Lydia Marie, and my brother-in-law, Tom Hudson.
My mom, Garcia.
My wife, Jennifer Allstrand.
My dad, Douglas Higgs, and my grandma, Bernadine.
Our sister and daughter, Alexis Musavi.
My sister, Alexis Musavi.
My aunt, Teresa Graham.
My wife, Wanda Lynn Martin.
My daughter, Teresa Wilson, my son, Terry Wright, and my husband, Jerry Romano.
My parents and my husband, Donald Lee Prouty.
Lacey and Jacqueline Rains Turk.
My dad, Steve Gurgitz. My husband of 50 years, Steve Gurgitz.
My daughter, who passed in Christmas last year, Marcy J. Schrum.
My husband, Dr. Robert Wilson.
The love of my life, Paul Coffey.
My mom, Matilda Cadenas.
My beautiful son, Scott Valianos, and one of my best friends, Anado McLaughlin.
My wonderful husband, Richard Bruner.
My dear husband, Gregory Dochik, my mother, Elizabeth Zaleta, and my sister, Crystal.
My son, Anthony, And my husband of 48 years, Tom.
My precious, wonderful son, Casey Hackman.
My beautifully sad son, Jordan Thomas Wheel.
My wife, Rena Pisa, a wonderful wife, mother, grandmother, and teacher.
My grandpa, Poppy, and my dog, Franklin.
And my grandma, Teresa Bland.
My husband, proud and crazy Hawaiian, Thomas Anapuni Watts, and my loving parents, Bob and Anita Sullivan.
My stepmother-in-law, Joyce Cordell.
Sorry. Sorry. My forever 16-year-old son, Austin Gamble.
My 16-year-old grandson, Austin Gamble.
Our dad, Ralph.
Yes, most recently my mother-in-law, Pauline Eusebio, my cousin, Heidi Brevet, who died of COVID, and my brother-in-law, Hank Topper.
My wonderful husband, Ralphia.
My vibrant and wonderful sister-in-law, Lori Sterling.
The beautiful Isabella Izzy Kress.
Austin Gamble, and my brother, Bobby Karen, and my brother-in-law, Del Ontiveros.
My friend, Michael Flink.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing.
Hi, my name is John. I'm a grief counselor with Camarillo Hospice. You know, I have a daytime job that can get really, really hectic sometimes. And then when I leave that job and I sit with my Camarillo Hospice clients as they share their pain, anger, guilt, regrets, memory, tears, and love. That's not a job. That is an honor and a privilege, and for something that I am grateful. Just as I am grateful that we are all here tonight to honor our loved ones and remember them. I have a poem by Sylvan Kamers and Rabbi Jack Reimer. We remember them. So I'm going to read the line, and then the chorus, if y'all can all help me, is y'all will say, "We remember them." Okay. At the rising of the sun and its going down, at the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, at the opening of the buds and the rebirth of spring, at the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, at the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, at the beginning of the year and when it ends, when we are weary and in need of, when we are lost and sick at heart, when we have joy we crave to share. As long as we live, they too will live. For those are now a part of us as. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Sue and her daughters back up. This is the beautiful moment tonight when we get to light our tree of life, our tree of joy, of hope, of remembering why we're here. We're celebrating life. We are celebrating Light Up a Life. So I invite you to come up to light our tree.
As we think about the stars that have been prepared with the names of special people that we have loved and who are no longer physically with us, we can be thankful for this tree where the lights will light up and remind us of their lives and their lives. I think we can also appreciate the lights on the tree as they shine a light on the comfort that we have in special memories that will live on in our hearts. So the tree will light.
Ta-da! Yay, it's so gorgeous. Wow. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Those tears are now joy just pouring out. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. I'd like to thank Sue and her family for sharing their personal story with us, for all of you for sharing your personal life with us by sharing those names. A great big thankful to all of you for joining us and for your support, which allows us to continue our important grief work for our community. I want to thank Linda Frank and James Graham for their hours and hours of work putting this program together, and their whole team. Thank you very much. And thank you, Daniel Navarro, for the beautiful, who will be here afterwards helping us set that mood of sharing and love and community. I want to invite you all to write your names of your loved ones on the stars. You may have already done that on our night sky banner of remembrance. Please do that if you haven't had a chance. Enjoy our memory video, which is playing on a loop over here. That will be on our website, along with some footage of tonight's event, and including, I hear a drone. The paparazzi follow me all the time. I thought they didn't know I was here tonight, but I'm not sure if that's for me or if I actually think it's for all of you. Some of that will be part of the footage that will be put together for our memory video that's on our website. And if you just want to let you know, if you sent in a person's name and photograph and it didn't quite make it on today's video, it will be updated. Appreciate all the support and all the donations. They're still coming in, and we're super close to our goal. So thank you very much for your support. Feel free to stay and take pictures by our tree, by our gorgeous tree. And I would just like to close with a quote from a very well-known person, a great person of importance, and Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh says, "How lucky I am to have someone that makes saying goodbye so hard." Don't turn away from your grief, from saying goodbye because it's hard. I encourage you to grab someone's hand and take a step forward, just one step. Let tonight be that one step for you. Thank you for coming, and happy holidays.